Welcome into the Marvel Stuff podcast, where, like we do every single week, it's Coach that makes the terrible joke. And as you can see, if you're watching along on YouTube or Facebook, we don't have Coach today. Instead, we got a wonderful sub who's arguably a better podcaster. And I hope Coach hears this. I got David from the Star Wars Stuff podcast. What's up, my guy?
Hey, what's up, everyone? How's it going? No terrible joke here, but yeah, I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to talk about The Flash. It's one of my most anticipated films for years.
We're gonna get to it, but I this is gonna be a fun conversation because you are a generation above me. So Michael Keaton is your true Batman. So I'm actually super excited to talk about that. But before we start, the reason Coach isn't on the podcast is he had his second child today. So everyone, say congrats when you get a chance or
Yeah,
all that
happy
good stuff.
Father's
But
Day.
happy Father's Day to him.
Yeah,
Got a son Cooper, and it's very exciting stuff. So if he's missing the next episode or two, you guys know why he didn't quit. Well, we were talking about The Flash, and David, you're a jerk and saw it weeks earlier than me because I literally just watched it yesterday. So it took me a little while. A lot of people wanted to see it with me, and then it ended up being, 4 people. But it's good stuff. Really good movie. What did you have to say about it off the top?
well, the movie screened like months and months ago at CinemaCon. It feels like, and people have seen it, and we've got a range of ratings of the greatest superhero movie of all time to it's just okay. It's not the greatest superhero movie of all time. Um, it's not complete yet. I heard that a few times. Every screening that I went to, they were saying, "Well, it's not the finished product." I think the screening I went to was a finished product because I didn't go to the last screening, and people told me exactly what happened in my screening. So I don't know. I think it was just that end credit scene that wasn't finalized yet. But people
Yeah,
were
we'll
kind of
we'll talk
arguing
about
about the
that. And
CGI.
do you know
Yeah, they're
about
saying the
yeah?
CGI was incomplete, and I was like, I think it's done, guys. I don't think they're gonna work on it anymore. But
Yeah, the director Andy Muschietti. I'm probably butchering his last name, but
yeah,
he
they say it two different ways: Muschietti and Muschetti. I don't know.
mm,
He's Argentinian.
Boschetti. Got it. I'm gonna do
Sounds
that.
sounds sounds very Italian, but he's Argentinian.
Well, I'd say he did a pretty good job. But in
Yeah,
an interview semi recently, he said that the CGI looked a little wonky on purpose because it was from the point of view of the Flash and the Speed Force. And
that's
I
what I
buy it.
figured.
And it did remind me a little bit of like early 2000s CGI, but he somehow made it look much better. Like I don't know. It didn't rub me the wrong way. I know I can kind of see where people are coming from because it doesn't look like the true actors, but that was definitely the point. So I don't know why there's people are
Right.
not up in arms about that.
Yeah.
Oh well, yeah. Just kicking it off at the beginning. We know that Ezra Miller identifies as they them, so we'll try and stick with that when we talk about the actor. But the character of the Flash, Barry Allen, is a he him, and that's pretty much how we're going to refer to him because we're talking about the character, not the actor. Figured do that little bit of housekeeping there. But overall, I enjoyed the film. I'll say that it was a pretty good time. I almost feel just marginally let down because people were saying it was like the greatest superhero movie of all time. I wish I wouldn't have heard that. If I could have gone into this like dry, just be like, oh yeah, I mean this is going to be another DC movie. I think it would have been like slightly better from my perspective. But I can't say that I didn't enjoy the movie. So how do you feel about that, David?
So I heard that months ago. Then slowly, as time got to one of my showings, it started kind of like lowering my expectations. So I was like, "Oh, okay. Well, I mean, James Gunn, who's now the new creative
The
director
DC
of
guy, yeah.
DCU, yeah, he said it was one of the greatest superhero films of all time." I don't think as public, universal, general audiences will think that, but for a certain audience, I think they think that, and I think I'm that certain audience. I love time travel movies, and I
Yep.
love the way they handled and explained time travel in The Flash. And friggin' Michael Keaton did it. He
Oh my
explained
god.
it. It was
Can't
like, oh my
believe
god! It's like,
Michael. Yeah, that was cool. The
yeah,
spaghetti explanation was definitely a highlight of the movie because time travel is obviously nonsense. You can make up your own rules as you go, and it was. I mean, I really liked DC's take on it. It was cool having Michael Keaton just kind of be like your preschool teacher. Like, here's how time works. It was pretty
right,
awesome.
right, right, right.
Came in with the with the long hair and the crazy beard and explaining things over
Yeah,
spaghetti like a crazy person. It was wonderful.
yeah. being in the bubble that I'm in, I'm gonna look at. I already knew about Michael Keaton with the long hair, and I knew about certain story elements, and the way they set up the trailers, you could kind of build the movie in your head before you went to go see it. It pretty much almost kind of played out exactly what the trailers gave us, and
Yep.
then we had the big like reveal that the director Andy Muschietti said that Nicolas Cage was going to be in the film as
Yeah.
Superman.
I mean,
That
that's
leaked weeks
yep.
prior, and I saw that, and I was
Little
like,
out of order, but we could talk about that real quick because I think that was something everyone was looking for. So
yeah,
for people outside of the thing, like Tim Burton was originally kind of signed on to be playing Superman in a Tim Burton movie,
yeah,
and
Nicolas Cage in a Tim Burton movie.
did I say Tim Burton in a Tim Burton movie? I think I said it, and then I was like, I'm gonna finish this sentence, and I'll get corrected if I said it wrong. But he fought a giant spider. And apparently, I guess that was kind of in the original script. So it's kind of like an inside joke of Hollywood that it's like, man, he ended up doing the thing that they said they were going to do. How'd you feel about, let's just do that one out. How'd you feel about the cameos outside of the last one? Because I want to save that one.
Great on paper, really good on screen. I love the fact that you got to see Adam West, the original Batman.
The real
you got to see the original Superman, which was played by
Dean Cain.
Another no. The black and white. He was another Reeves, not Christopher Reeve.
Well, there's Christopher Reeves. You got Matt Reeves, the director. No,
actually, no. The guy's actual name was Reeves. Yeah. Let me look that up actually. But yeah,
Superman lore is not my forte.
Yeah. George Reeves was his name.
George Reeves. Okay.
You see the black and white Superman, and yeah, it's kind of ironic that Christopher Reeve played him in the 1970s, 80s Superman. But it was fantastic to see him, to see Supergirl.
That was growing
really
cool.
up. I saw Supergirl on Betamax to rent. It was not on VHS in my hometown, so I could never see the movie. We only had VHS at my house, so I actually never saw that movie in its entirety. But yeah, like you mentioned before, Batman '89, that was a huge summer, and I think that was the start of my summer blockbuster and VHS.
I heard it was a good time to be alive then. I wasn't quite there yet, but it was. I heard that was like a highlight. Like it was a good year. So
I was in the second grade when that dropped, and my parents didn't allow me to go to the movies, so I had to wait for the VHS, and I was super hyped for it. And I remember having a Warner Brothers magazine / catalog at my house, and they showed Michael Keaton dressed up as Bruce Wayne in it. And I remember my cousin and my dad reacting to it. He's like, wait a minute, that's going to be Bruce Wayne? That's going to be Batman?
That was
what?
Very
Mr. Mom is going to be Mr. Mom is going to be Batman? Beetlejuice is going to be Batman?
Fans got to eat their words sometimes. I mean, everyone's like, oh, the gay cowboy's playing the Joker. Like, you mean the greatest Joker to ever be portrayed on screen? Okay, cool.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, you go for the acting, the actor. I mean, the casting is 90% of the success of the film, they say. So, I mean, casting was great. Growing up, I've talked to more comic book people, and they're like, yeah, Michael Keaton's too small to play Batman, even though he played a terrific Batman. Then we got Ben Affleck as Batman, and we got the size that we were kind of waiting for. And in this film, we got to have our cake and eat it too. We got Affleck and Keaton. And it's like, wow, it's like it's everything.
It was wonderful. It was very cool how they played it off. I too am, I can dig on multiverse and time travel and stuff like that. It's a comic book trope that I'm glad that we're finally seeing translated on screen. And Hollywood very much jumped on board. We're like, oh, so we can get nostalgia and further the overall storyline of these films. I mean, it's so far I haven't seen it done terribly. And they're doing a good job so far, but man, someone's gonna drop the ball at some point. It's gonna make everyone sad for ruining it for the bunch. But this one is not that. It was definitely fun.
I think the entire film I was smiling.
Yeah, there were scenes where actively it was like yelling and joy, and that's not me normally. I'm not normally the guy that's like that. I mean, I get excited. I'm like, yes, but I was very, very well. You could hear me pretty well.
You must have had a good crowd.
Because I'm the Batman guy, so this getting to see we'll just say a lot of Batman we can kind of jump into that, I guess, at this point. The other cameo that was kind of at the very beginning of the movie, Gal Gadot reprising her role as Wonder Woman.
Right.
Some people were surprised by that. I had heard like inklings of that, but I didn't know if it was going to come to fruition. So I'm glad that it did. She's portrayed that character a lot. I just semi-recently watched Shazam 2 because I somehow missed the theatrical release on that one. So she was in that too. She's definitely, doing her job up to the point where she no longer has the job, which is a huge bummer. But they're casting younger. Well, I mean, we're going to, that's a different argument to be had, but I enjoyed her. That was probably my funniest scene of the movie was the lasso of truth for me.
You think so?
It was for me.
Okay.
The Batman talking about his deep set insecurities of being Flash talking about being a virgin. I was like, oh God, this is the best. There are a couple other really good pops though. I will say that. Coach did send me a couple because it's so funny because I went and saw it with him yesterday. And I was like, all right, yep. So it was me, him, my wife, and my brother. And we all had a good time. But Coach was like, I don't feel like doing the episode tonight. We'll do it tomorrow night. And here we are tomorrow night. And all of a sudden he's a dad again, like a jerk. No.
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding. We knew the timing might end up like that. But his words, he said they didn't shy away from being weird. That was kind of his first thought. And I agree with that 100%. It was so strange in different parts. Because, I mean, it's a wackadoo idea. And, DC's very much known as the, dark and gritty and doing all this stuff. And they're very much, I guess, trying to flip that label just a little bit, especially with a fun character like Flash. You can't have emo Flash. It just doesn't really work.
Yeah.
So I'm glad they lean completely in the goofy. How'd you feel about
it? It felt like I've met that kid before. And I've heard people complain about Barry Allen from the other universe that he was just too weird and wacky, and it's no, there's kids like that. I mean, his
stoner laugh, it was so funny at first, and then it drove me nuts by the 6th time he did it. I was like, God dang it, man! But it was great. That was another point that Coach said. He's like, I liked the idea of doing a backdoor origin story. So instead of us having to go through the step by step, color by color the lines, here's this and this, here's the origin story of the character, and they're like, we're gonna bring a guy that's already experienced it back to the origin story. And that was very cool the way they handled that, and I agree with that 100%. The dichotomy between the two Flashes, even though they're technically the same person, it is so funny. That's Ezra kind Miller of realistic. That is realistically how you would react with your younger self, as much as you don't want to admit it. I mean, it's 100% what would happen. So, having two Flashes, we knew it was going to happen the whole time. But how'd you like that?
It was great. I mean, you had to have the right actor to pull that off, and Ezra Miller has the chops to do that. Incredible acting performance. It's just sad that he has all the extra curricular stuff happening off camera, but. Yeah, terrific. He nailed it, man. I was just, and I heard that prior to, and I was like, man, it's just kind of a waste now. It seems like he's not going to be cast again as the Flash.
Yeah, I mean, they're recasting, it seems like a majority of the DC universe, and the drama that comes with them is it's just one of those things, man, where, I mean, it almost delayed Secrets of Dumbledore, and that was years ago at this point. So this is not a problem that they could really sweep under the rug, play it off no big deal. There's still repercussions coming, and it's whatever. I mean, the way they handled the press junket was pretty smart though, where they got Sasha
Kaya,
thank you. I mean, we could talk about her right now. She was fantastic. I think it was really cool that she got the Henry Cavill stamp of approval as well, but good Lord, she was a scene stealer. I will say 100%. What if she wasn't the best character in the movie, but once she was on screen, she was drawing all the attention. Take your eyes off of
her, man. I mean,
fantastic.
She was great. Yeah. She looked great. She played the role great. She had the right. I mean, her acting was terrific. This actress just came kind of out of nowhere for me. And
I've never heard of her.
Doing the publicity rounds a lot.
That's what I was saying. Her and the director are the two that kind of led the press junket because of the controversy with Ezra Miller. Let's keep them off camera as much as we can. So Michael Keaton's a pretty busy guy. Same with Ben Affleck. So they pick and chose who they could to kind of represent them on all the late night. And man, DC spent a lot of money marketing this thing. No one
Yep.
didn't know about this movie coming. That was
Right.
something very notable about this one. The marketing budget, they did not hold back on that. So that was cool to see, and I think it paid off pretty well.
Yeah.
I guess we can kind of jump around a little bit, but we'll start kind of at the beginning. The introduction of the Flash having he's being the janitor for the Justice League, and I was like, that's kind of funny. And I will say that myself, my wife, and Cody were all very uncomfortable with the baby scene. The weird CGI, it was so awkward, man. I did not super care for that. I mean, Coach was especially not caring for it because he knew he was having a baby within the week. The only highlight of that was him calling it a baby shower. I was like, okay, all right, I'll give it to you. That was funny. The rest of it,
putting the baby in the microwave.
That was much,
fantastic.
Man. It was too much.
I love that touch.
Yeah, but that was kind of it was a fun thing, and that was kind of the first intro of like being weird CGI, but I liked it. I liked the whole play out scene. Kind of, just a really solid intro. Ben Affleck was, he did some interviews and he was specifically saying, like, I finally feel like I got the character right after I had already kind of quit playing the character. Which I hate when that happens. But, I mean, what can you do? He's still.
And he had as much controversy as Heath Ledger did when he got cast.
Yeah.
People were trying to. I had friends telling me, sign the petition, do it. I'm like, I kind of want to see. I know he's a big dude.
Why do people hate on it? I don't get the Affleck hate, honestly. I've been a big Affleck fan since he was a Mallrats. So.
he's smart. He's got cinematic IQ. He's won Oscars. I mean, why not?
Married to J-Lo. That's just an extra thing, but good for him. That's awesome. He's wonderful. Yeah, and he's never going to be my Batman, but I think he did the role justice, and
Josh, he doesn't have. You don't have to have just one Batman, Josh. You can have.
No, multiple. I know, and I 100% agree.
I have multiple.
I'm glad DC is going this way, where they're like, we can have multiple Batman and multiple Superman, because that was kind of the big issue with DC the previous 10 to 15 years. Like, Suicide Squad was being built up on the Arrow TV show. They decide they're making a movie. Boom. All those characters got axed because they didn't want to confuse the audience. Like, we're a bunch of dum-dums. So I'm glad that they're finally moving away from that. Like, listen, we're going to keep making Robert Pattinson Batman movies and Joaquin Phoenix Joker movies. And then there's going to be a completely different Batman. And you guys are just going to be cool with it. And to my experience, no one seems to really mind at all because more Batman is awesome. Yeah,
I agree.
If anyone was curious, though, Kevin Conroy is my Batman, but I might as well do it here.
Let me tell my story.
Go for it.
So when I was a little kid, the Batman animated series premiered, and I was looking so forward to it. I can still remember how my room was set up. My twin bed was right in front of my TV. It was going to be on Fox Kids. I came home from school. I was ready to watch it. It dropped, and it blew my mind. I was like, it's so dark. It's like, how is this for kids? I was asking myself, and I was like, yes, this is awesome. And that was my ritual to watch these episodes every time they dropped, and I loved it so much. Introduction to Harley Quinn. You got Mark Hamill as a Joker. I didn't even know at the time that Mark Hamill was a Joker.
No one did. You were a kid. You didn't know voice.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't know all the behind the scenes stuff, but it was terrific. It was awesome. I loved it. Great part of my childhood.
Interesting, though, is I was also raised on the Batman animated TV show because of reruns, and I caught the tail end of it because I was born in '95, so the show premiered in '92, and it kept going for 10 years or whatever it was, and it kind of just transcended generations, that how good that show was, and Kevin Conroy's performance. So I always got to give him the love. But if you force me to say who the live action Batman is, it's my guy. It's Christian Bale. So that's how it goes. I love me some Dark Knight.
Yeah, he's actually kind of my least favorite.
Interesting. Well, a little bit of a side note, though. We might as well talk about it. I was kind of trying to save it, but I was like, nope, I'm going to do it. The George Clooney review.
That was awesome. I love that. It was all tongue in cheek. I mean,
yep. Val Kilmer and George Clooney were my two Batman when I was a young boy, because those two, Batman Forever and Batman and Robin, were on repeat nonstop when I was a kid. That's all that was on. When it wasn't on the Batman cartoon, it was watching those same 2 movies over and over again. Obviously, I would throw in the Keaton ones every once in a while, but those ones weren't like kid directed. I mean, they were dark gothic movies and I did appreciate them, but the fun, colorful ones with stupid Schwarzenegger saying "ice to see you" and things like that. I mean, that was my jam, dude. I love it. Chill. Oh man, man.
I was kind of halfway expecting a Mr. Freeze Schwarzenegger cameo.
That would
didn't get it.
Especially, did this take? Where did what city? Central City. Duh. Okay, I was gonna say, is it for some reason in LA? Because that would have been hilarious if he came as like cameo as like or something, governor of California. Yeah. That would have been good stuff. But I will say this movie just super fun. Lots of great action. It was funny and weird, and I can't put it in the upper echelon for me, but I will I consider it pretty mid. I personally would give this movie like a 7.5 out of 10. That may seem low to some people, but then that's also super high to other people. That's just off upon my first watch. That was kind of my overall vibe. How did you how would you rank this? Because it sounds like this is your 11 out of 10. Please do 7 more of them.
Maybe not 7 more than, but the whole time, I love time travel so much, and to finally see the Flash and the Speed Force, different angles. That first shot of him running on the water, I was like, oh my god.
Oh yeah,
that was so good. Yeah, and I was like, man, we've never seen that before. And him phasing too, we'd never seen
that. Was cool. That was cool that he just knew how to phase instead of learning.
Yeah,
I will say that I watched 6 out of the 9 seasons of the Flash TV show, and personally I still put Grant Gustin as like my favorite Flash, even though there haven't been that many iterations of that character. But Ezra Miller is the blockbuster. He's like, they're the draw. They're the ones that have all the experience in these movies. And when he was in the Zack Snyder movie, I had absolutely no problem with Ezra Miller showing up, and I was like, cool, hey, sounds good. And the fact that they kept them around is really, really cool. I'm almost sad to see this like phase of DC kind of go to the wayside. I literally in the theater, I was like, oh, this is the last one. And I was like, oh shoot, I literally forgot about Aquaman 2. So we still got that one to look forward to. But outside of that, we're done with this kind of
the rumors aren't so great on the Aquaman 2 film.
Can't call it full out fail, but it's just like maybe a rushed attempt at an MCU rival with some great highlights and some definite glaring lowlights. So what can you do? I mean, I'm glad we're moving forward, but I mean, I started to fall in love with some of these guys. I mean, Jason Momoa's Aquaman is so good. I love it. I loved Ben Affleck. Henry Cavill is the only Superman I've ever really liked, and I know that's controversial because everybody's like, oh, Christopher Reeves is. Listen, those movies were made long before I was alive, and I hated Superman because he's not Batman. So,
oh god,
no, it was always like Batman's my favorite, Superman's my brother's favorite. So I can't play with his toys, and he can't play with mine. It was the mindset back in the day.
See, I liked them
Henry Cavill changed my mind.
I really liked them all. I grew up with the toys first. I had a Batman, I had a Superman, I had a Green Lantern, I had a Flash, and I had a Hawkman. And I really didn't know who and what their power. Like, I didn't know what Green Lantern did. All I knew was he was like had the green suit with the lantern, and he had the ring. And I was like just making up stuff. And
you were having him beat people up with a lantern, weren't
you? yeah. And then I had the Flash toy, and I think my cousins probably told me, yeah, he's the fastest man on the planet. No one can beat him in a race. So so I had that, and Hawkman, he had the wings, so I knew he could fly.
Those are the only ones you knew. That's
pretty much when I was
David,
like 3.
Yeah, you were super young too. That's when I started playing with Batman toys. But I was a super weird kid. Like I was like, well, you can't play with Wolverine and Batman at the same time. It's not allowed because they're not in the same universe. So
you got to go pick it up. Kind of like that. I was kind of like that because I had multiple different toys.
I was so OCD. It was real bad when I was a kid. And my brother would try and bring in like a Magneto toy. I was like, no, we're playing DC. Grab your Superman. It's not allowed.
See, for me, I would bring in like my He-Man toys. And I would bring my Thundercat toys along with DC.
Didn't they have a crossover too, though? That's okay.
Possibly.
Those two.
Yeah. And then I had Star Wars toys, and I just matched them up in the end.
Nope.
Yeah.
David. We couldn't have been friends as kids. It wouldn't have been allowed. You didn't play right, David.
Yeah, different timeline. Yeah.
Yeah, well, that was a little bit of a side tangent, but what was your, I guess, favorite scene of the movie?
Well, I didn't get my rating.
Oh yeah, sorry.
I want to say, for me personally, it was a 9 out of 10.
9.
I mean,
That's
you
good.
can
I mean,
argue about, yeah, I think it's the top 3 DCEU film. Man of Steel, Snyder Cut, Flash. Those are the top 3 for me. I'm wearing the Fandom shirt actually right now. The
Fandom, nice.
Yeah, I love the Fandom. It was awesome. I was like all about it.
I hope someday I get to. I think I don't know if they're always going to do it virtually because that's kind of how it started, or if they're going to switch it to like a Comic-Con Light or something. But if they do, I would absolutely love to go to one of those.
I would be down to go to one too. That would be terrific. So yeah, I mean, it is up there for me. What was the question you asked prior? What was my favorite scene?
Favorite scene, or I guess, yeah, funniest scene. What scenes really stuck out to you is like really awesome.
Man, to me, I think, man, it's hard not to go with anything that's not Batman 89. But I do love Ben Affleck as Batman. I know they showed that shot
the blue
of him
cool.
flying through the air through the fire and doing like that side spin.
Yeah, it was
his
sick,
cape like just comes out. And it's like damn, and it's like forceful and fast and intense, and he's wearing the blue and the gray, and it's like, oh my god. It's like we're getting it, but now we're gonna lose it. And it's like, oh, we have all these emotions.
That suck so much. It's like I've heard pretty significant rumors that Ben Affleck is in Aquaman too, but I can't confirm.
Oh yeah,
that it won't be a spoiler.
Okay,
spoiler risk, but it's fine.
Well, it was on social media. I think.
It was literally Momoa posting an Instagram reel.
But the thing I've heard is that they're going to cut his scene out now because it doesn't make sense. Yeah,
what's the point? Shut up! I hate them. Those guys suck. You remember when we were supposed to get a Batgirl movie with Michael Keaton returning as Batman, and then that didn't happen?
Well, it did happen. DC, they're just never going to release it. No, I know,
and they had it for like stupid finances. I'll never be not mad about that because we could have got Brendan Fraser as a Batman villain, and then it didn't happen.
Yeah.
So it's hard not to pick the Batman as your favorite, but did you have a scene that you thought was the funniest? Because my wife and my brother both agreed that it was when our modern day Flash lost his powers and tried to start running after he lost his powers.
And
he looked like a total idiot, and it was making fun of the way he runs because
I love the way he runs. I love
that was the thing Ezra Miller has been roasted about the most when it comes to playing the Flash.
Though it makes I mean, he's running so fast he can't run normally. I mean, you have to run kind of like an ice skater, you know? Oh my gosh. I mean, all this stuff makes so much sense to me. The movie made sense to me. It worked. It was logical. I didn't care about the bad CGI. I mean, it was a great experience. Like I said, I watched this movie with a grin on my face the entire time, and it didn't stop even through the post credits with George Clooney showing up. And to me,
that wasn't post credits. That was the end of the movie. But yes, it's still.
Yeah.
So it was the tag at the end.
To me, that kind of reset the DC EU into its place, and now we're gonna have the DCU. But with Aquaman 2 coming out, I don't know how that's gonna fit into things. Maybe it's gonna happen prior to.
They spent too much money not to release it, is the thing, so they're gonna do it. Oh, Coach is commenting saying, "Wow, David off the top rope." Don't make me call in Cooper, which is his son's name. So I did notice a significant lack of professional wrestlers, but they did get a shout out. That was a pretty funny line when he was explaining good people that live on the earth. Ezra Miller's like, "Please save us. There are babies, professional wrestlers."
Yeah. It's like, what was that?
I love it.
I did love the Eric Stoltz reference for Back to the Future.
Was he? I see. This is before my time. So, was he rumored to have been playing the character?
He was playing him. He played him for 2 weeks, and he got replaced by Michael Keaton.
Interesting.
So there's footage out there. You can go see it on YouTube.
Replaced by Michael Keaton. Batman?
No. Eric Stoltz was supposed to play Marty McFly in Back to the Future.
Uh-huh.
He played him for about 2 weeks and then got replaced by Michael Keaton, the actor, to play Marty McFly. That was the reference. Because in The younger Barry
Michael J.
Allen.
Fox. I'm sorry, you lose. Michael J. Fox plays Marty McFly though. I'm so
I'm sorry.
confused.
Yeah. I guess I
Okay.
am jet lagged. Okay.
No, it's
Michael
not
J.
your fault.
Fox.
I was just genuinely confused. I was like, Michael Keaton was almost Marty McFly. What's
No.
happening?
Okay. Yeah. Sorry. Michael J.
Dude.
Fox eventually ended up playing
Okay.
Marty McFly in Back to the Future, but Eric Stoltz played him for like the first 2 weeks, and then was Family Ties too. That was before your time as well, because Michael J. Fox played a character named I forgot his first name, but his last name was Keaton. So
got you. Okay,
yeah,
no, it's all good. That was just funny where like it was like casting everyone on the wrong things and like we'll explain my Marty McThigh, and it's like that's the wrong body part and it's upside down. I will say that like the stupid roommates.
Alex P. Keaton.
I wanted
Michael J. Fox played Alex P. Keaton in Family Ties. That's where my brain went.
Gotcha. Okay, you're good. You're good. I wanted to hate the room. I wanted to hate
and Michael Keaton's real name is Michael Douglas too. That's to throw another monkey wrench in there.
Yeah, no, I wanted to hate the roommates, but like they were the just peak exactly what roommates are like when you're that age.
Yes, that was awesome. That was a great scene too. That was funny.
So
I mean, the laughs and the jokes that worked per minute was
very well,
just perfectly paced, man. It worked.
It really was. Yep. We finally got like a true. I can't say finally because the second Suicide Squad movie was very much James Gunn humor. So I mean, you can't say that there aren't any funny things, but this was lighthearted, funny. Just honestly, it was fun.
Yeah.
Coach does not seriously send an invite. If he brings in his baby right now in the middle of a live podcast,
we're gonna ask him to do the Flash, throw it up in the air, and catch it in a microwave.
don't do that. Definitely don't do that. But I am going to send him an invite right now, David. So feel free to go on a side tangent real quick since we're live.
Yeah. Other scenes that I love, of course, the Zod scene. I mean, back in the desert, and then this time he does kill.
That was brutal. That was brutal. He's like, the infant didn't survive. I was like, no, you killed baby Superman. That was so messed up.
And Supergirl got pissed. She said,
dude,
no.
She was raging, dude. She was so good, man. Is there any way that she can continue playing Supergirl? Like, I don't want to see a stupid blonde lady playing her now.
James Gunn said we're going to get Elseworld stories in DC.
Yes,
we can do an Elseworld with Sasha Calle.
Do it. Are they going to, though? Does Supergirl have the name power? There's a lot of things that go into that nonsense.
Well, he is already doing a Supergirl that's apparently going to be the classical.
I do remember hearing about that, and I mean, it's fine. You can't get angry at them either way. I did really appreciate this one though.
Yeah,
she's great.
Yeah, great pick, great move, great plot.
Coach joining from the hospital.
Hey, what's good, fam?
Congratulations, man.
Congrats, buddy.
Absolutely, Cooper's over there. I gotta go heat him up apparently. So, this seems like a good time.
Don't pull a Barry Allen.
That was, that seems a special.
That seems too much. See, Coach, I said you, me, and Dominique were in agreement, but David thought it was wonderful. So David hates babies, awesome. Is what I
there's a lot of it that I like. It just maybe it's because I knew I had a baby coming the next day that I just was not.
You're like,
it's just not about the weird babies flying through the air scene. But you know what? It is funny, and like that scene is like when you realize that like. They didn't care. They went full send. They were like, we are going to be weird, and that's just the way it's going to be.
Yep, and if this movie dropped like a couple decades earlier, it would have had way more impact because we wouldn't have had the Quicksilver scene in Days of Future Past or whatever.
That's a very good point. They're always going to compare the speedsters, and like the way they did Quicksilver in the X-Men movies was just. I don't know how they kept topping themselves too. And like, I'm not saying it was always better, but they kept doing more and more. And I mean, the Flash didn't do anything crazy like that. Well, he did, but not the same.
Yeah. I don't know how you like, is there a better way to visualize it? Really? They tried with like the weird circle, like sort of metaphor that they had in that weird universe you would get to.
Yeah. The globe, the ball,
but it's just hard. How do you show that kind of speed? But like you said, it's still interesting. It was done best in X-Men, but I liked it enough.
Yeah.
But
Well,
I
Coach,
got.
I know you're not trying to stay all day, so feel free to say what you need to say.
Well, first off, I got to jump in on this 9 nonsense. David's throwing out that it's a 9 out of 10. That's high praise, my man.
Yeah,
I didn't hear
loved
what
it,
you
man.
said, Josh. What was your?
I said 7.
7. Okay. I mean, I could see the 9 on a pure fun scale in a lot of ways. Because I mean, all the young Barry stuff is really, really funny. He's really locked in. It's really good. But man, it seems long, and I don't know. Is it just too weird? Am I not weird enough? Is that my problem? If I was more of a comic
Coach,
book
no
guy?
one's ever accused you of not being weird enough.
Well, that's what I was thinking. That's sort of how I was feeling. I was like, I like weird stuff,
Whoever
man.
Facebook user just said 7 of 9, I said no, 7 of 10 is my rating.
7 out of 9. That's a good rating. Yeah, I'm gonna give.
I don't know whose scale that is, but why not?
I'm gonna give a good 12 out of 17. I think somewhere in that range. But I mean, yeah, I told you that I thought it was. I mean, I feel like if I'm comparing it to all movies, like a 6. If I'm comparing it to just superhero movies, it's closer to a 7. Which I
Compared
guess
to just
is,
DC movies, like DCEU movies especially, I mean, then it's up in the 8.5
Yeah.
because the DCEU has been very dramatic in both directions.
I'm disappointed when I relearned that Aquaman 2 was actually the end of the DCEU.
Yep.
Because this felt like a pretty good way to end it.
conclusion. Yep, 100%. Felt like a good conclusion, and then they didn't go about it that way. So that was a major bummer. But I mean, David, as he said, Aquaman 2 is not looking like it's gonna. So we're gonna go out with a whimper, unfortunately. But
yeah, I heard it's horrible. Actually,
which is crazy because the first one made $1 billion, which this one might too because Jason Momoa was hot. But like, honestly though, the second one, it's not gonna make that much.
All right, Josh, on a hot scale, how hot is Jason Momoa?
Yo, for real, me as like rating other, I give him a 10. He is a smoking Samoan.
A 10 out of 10.
Oh
man, if I could look like Jason Momoa, oh my god.
Okay.
I can dream.
Yeah, so he came down here to my neck of the woods in San Antonio, and he signed, and 90% of the people that got his autograph and photo op were women.
Yeah, because the women love him.
It's good.
Yeah.
And so does Josh. Put me right in that camp. He's fantastic.
So are the rumors like kind of true? What have you guys been hearing? Is he gonna be back in the James Gunn verse?
I was talking to my wife
Lobo
about this. If they don't
Aquaman?
cast him as Lobo, it's a true missed opportunity. Because I loved him as Aquaman, but they're gonna go a different direction in Aquaman. They have to kind of recast most of the people. And Lobo is Jason Momoa, and Jason Momoa is Lobo. So if you don't cast him, it's like, are we really not doing this? Like the motorcycle riding, hot man bun, long beard. I'm just surprised Lobo isn't covered in tattoos, but he will be if they put him in this movie. It's just,
I don't know.
It's kind of like Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool.
It seems like automatic to me. Yeah. But maybe it won't happen. Maybe they'll find someone, and I'll be surprised. I mean, we already talked about you can't take casting at face value in the beginning anyway. So
if it wasn't James Gunn, I would say there's no chance, just because he was just in the DCU. But because James Gunn's a weird guy who just doesn't care.
Yeah, and he's in charge, so he gets to play with all the toys, and everyone can shut up.
I mean, you could sell Jason Momoa. Lobo is everything about him, not just the look. It's like he's this high personality, high energy sort of out there that Jason Momoa really gives off, and a lot of his is like actually in film performance. It's just very high energy. So it fits. It is really cool. I want to circle back to Flash real quick. What did you guys talk about? Did we talk about all the cameos? We
talked about
through them all? Talked
of them. I don't know if we talked about all of them quite yet.
We talked about George Reeves, Christopher Reeves, Supergirl.
Adam West Batman, Gal Gadot, Wonder Woman. Which one was your favorite, Coach? Yeah, what was it? That wasn't John Wesley's ship though, or was it? I don't know. It was gray, so it was like he was never in a gray Flash show. Okay, that's what threw me because his show wasn't in black and white. So I was like, who is this guy supposed to be? Then? Understood.
Well, so I'm thinking.
Ask the nurse. What does the nurse have to say?
Ask the nurse.
The nurse. Have you seen The Flash yet? Yeah, it's a movie. She hasn't seen it. She's all right. She's doing her job, which is great. We love it. We love this is what the podcast is all about, a little high energy. No, I love it. But I think my favorite my favorite one was actually still the Nick Cage.
I was
one.
just gonna say someone just
Even
commented
though-
Superman Lives cameo, which was fantastic.
Yeah, Nicolas Cage fighting that spider.
Mine's
Why
without a doubt.
did it
George
show
Clooney.
the spider?
It's
because
did it
because
show-
that
it's
is the
inside
script.
joke. It's an inside joke.
It's
So
an inside
you
joke.
guys clearly don't know about this, but Kevin Smith has done.
No, I know.
Like,
I
you know
listened
about that
to
story?
his podcast. Yes, I know that he wrote the big.
Well,
spider
if you
thing.
go watch a
think I can.
like an evening with Kevin Smith,
The
he
one that he
talks
had a
about
heart
the John
attack on the
Peters
second
story. Yeah, and he's like he's reading the script to John Peters, and he goes,
Yep.
"Wait a minute, we got to have a couple of things. We have to have actually several things. Superman, he has to have no cape. Superman can't fly, and in the third act, he has to fight a giant spider."
It
And
was
he's
a
like,
love
"What?"
letter to Kevin Smith being a huge nerd, which is great because he
Yeah.
deserves it. He's one of my favorite celebrities. And since Stanley and Kevin Conroy aren't around anymore, Kevin Smith is like my number one celebrity I want to meet.
Yeah. My
was
audience
fun.
clapped when Nicolas Cage appeared on screen as Superman Lives Superman. So I was like blown away by that. But I was in there with a bunch of in our bubble people, so it didn't surprise me that much, I guess. But it was terrific, man. It would have been cool. In
I mean,
another
I
world,
stand by Clooney being my favorite one because it was just so out of left field. I was like, I can't not love this because he was just like the most hated Batman, yet they leaned into it. I was like, I love it. Let's go.
he's like the Phantom Menace episode 1 of Batman.
He really is. That'd be like if you put Jar Jar Binks in the new Ray trilogy.
It's probably gonna happen, man. You're probably gonna get a Gungan or two.
Are we sad they couldn't get Christopher Nolan?
Christian Bale.
Christopher Nolan. Christian Bale.
If they
I'm
would have
sad
got
they didn't
Christopher
get
Nolan
Nolan.
to direct this, I would have lost my mind.
It would have been great if one of the universes was just him directing, like just shows him behind the camera with a fake
so good.
Batman. That would have been really clever.
Yeah.
The whole weird giant world things. I don't know. Maybe that's why I didn't love the movie
collide.
as much. Because
It was
just the
comic
whole
book.
Speed Force
It
and
was taking the visuals almost directly from comic books. So like, listen, people love the Flash. This is what they want to see. Boom, make it happen. And like, you and I aren't the biggest Flash fans.
like,
we
but-
like Flash, but
the plot device of it all is what I don't love. I don't love
I
this.
thought you meant the visual.
This
aspect.
idea that he was destroying other universes, and I just don't like when every time people mess with the Speed Force, it somehow messes with other universes and destroys them. Same with like Doctor Strange. I just don't like.
Yeah, but
it.
that's
You
like
know.
that's like asking Batman to like start killing people. Like it's just like it's that dead set in Flash's character that like that's the big thing. He can time travel, but that's the big trope is he can't go back and save his mom. He can't go back and do these other things, and they pretty much nailed that. Which, speaking of which, were either of you disappointed that we didn't get Jeffrey Dean Morgan? I mean, we got Michael Keaton, so it's kind of like most people are more on board with that, but I would have loved to see Jeffrey Dean Morgan play Thomas Wayne in an alternate.
That
universe.
would have been cool. Yeah, they strayed away from the whole Flashpoint thing.
Yeah, they
and
did.
Martha Wayne being Joker and all that. But
Oh my god, that would have been my favorite. Maybe that would have been too much of a Batman movie.
Yeah,
That's the problem.
Yeah.
Is it would have made
That's
it
the-
into a Batman movie, which this
Yeah.
one had Batman in it, but
several Batman.
it only felt like a Batman movie for about like 15 to 20 minutes of the whole thing, which is the right ratio if you're gonna, because it's a team up movie when Keaton's in other scenes, so it felt like 20 minutes is a Batman movie, the rest is the Flash, and to me that's the right ratio because it is a true Flash movie, and we've had enough Batman movies, which is weird coming from me because I want more.
I don't know. Man, it feels like a watered down version of Flashpoint.
right.
But
It
maybe
does a little bit.
That's my own fault for wanting to see. I mean, I've already seen Flashpoint, so I guess.
Yeah, that's the thing. I've read
Why
Flashpoint.
not?
I watched the animated Flashpoint. I mean, they've done lots and lots of versions of the same storyline, so I can understand why they wouldn't want to try and redo it again. Because where's the creative control there when you're following
I
it
don't
like
know.
panel
It
for
was still-
panel?
They were my favorite scenes though, like the breaking into the German tank
I did
and
want to touch on that right after I said the Jeffrey Dean Morgan thing. Is like the murder of his mom. There was never a single reference to the Reverse Flash being the culprit. It was more like there was just a guy that killed the mom, and if they never would have left, then
Yeah,
it wouldn't have
that's a
been the
good
big of
point.
a deal. So it's like the family thing fell kind of flat for me too, and so did the Iris West kind of romance thing as well. So like both of those things are pretty core to Flash's character, and it's kind of odd that I watched this whole movie and I didn't feel quite satisfied in this scenario. Someone commented they did the Flashpoint on the Flash as well. That is true. I watched like 6 seasons of that show. It's a very good show. Eventually it got to be too much for me, but yeah, they did it in Flashpoint, or excuse me, in the Flash TV show really well on the CW, I will say. So good.
I don't know.
Good
I do think the Reverse Flash missing from it, that might be the element that I think bugs me the most.
Yeah.
I didn't like the idea that the person who punched him out was him. I mean,
they did do Savitar though, and
they
never named him Savitar, but that's kind of the character's name. It's just an alternate version of Barry that's been hunting this.
Which I just think is less interesting than a Reverse Flash. But there was no setup for a Reverse Flash. You'd have to do a whole.
It would have been adding too much. Now, in my opinion, they should have started with that on the board and kept it on there. They instead chose to go a different route where they're like, okay, we got to have the scene where we break Supergirl out of prison from Flashpoint. We're going to do Keaton Batman, and we're going to have a Ben Affleck Batman and Wonder Woman. So there was just too much going on for them to like logically be like, yep, Reverse Flash definitely feels like he fits in here. Because it would have been like a Spider-Man 3 to me, where there's just too many characters that it didn't feel like they all got the justice they deserve. Because Reverse Flash is great.
Yeah, some fans were thinking that the Nikolai Coster-Waldau cameo was Reverse Flash.
I don't even know what cameo you're referring to be honest.
The guy eating the hot dog, and he takes.
And then he also
the
same guy eating the pizza. Yeah, I did. Yeah, from Jamie Lannister. I was like, why does he look so familiar? But yeah, I guess you might be right.
Yeah, but then again, he worked with Andy Muschietti on Mama, so.
Right. Yeah, it might have just been like a fun little cameo.
Yeah,
it would have been maybe that was filmed at some point and they cut it. I don't know. There's a lot of things that it could be, but he would have been a great Reverse Flash. Good Lord, he's so good in Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
That's funny. That would have been great. Yeah, you're right. I think it's the fact that the mom is just sort of murdered. It feels.
Yep.
And maybe it's only because I know the story, right? Maybe if I had never seen Flashpoint, it wouldn't bother me so much.
That's the catch where the three of us are kind of in this bubble of people that know a lot about comic books and animated comic book movies, where like the average moviegoer, they probably don't care about that at all. They're just they were satisfied with getting to see, like, there are
but they also
superhero
don't care about
movie
the
fans. No, that's true.
Right. So they lose a little bit here, gain a little bit there.
Yeah, that's fair. It's a tough balance. I mean, everyone knows that making a movie is like one of the hardest things to do in the world, and they do it all the time. And you gotta like respect the people for putting their time and effort into it. But I mean, no Reverse Flash felt like one of the misses in this movie. But
have we talked box office and how it's being seen by the public yet?
Nope.
It's struggling out there. It's sort of struggling on both fronts. I think it's disappointing. I mean, I don't love it, but I still think it's worth watching.
The audience score is making a hold on. That's kind of where we're at. I don't know where it's at currently, but it was at 93 a few days ago. So it's that the audience is really they're the champions of this movie, which logically makes a lot of sense. But yeah, the critics got it as like a 65 or something like that on Rotten Tomatoes. I don't remember like off the top of my head. I could look it up, but it looks like David's already doing that. So shout out to David. And yeah, there's a lot of problems with like Ezra Miller as the main character. They're accused of some pretty gross stuff. So there's some people that are just kind of arguing that you shouldn't support the film, which sometimes I can see where they're coming from, but then other times I'm like, there are literally thousands of people that worked on this, and we're gonna can it because the main character is, a tool and may or may not have done some random inappropriate things, or I think the only thing that Ezra got like charged for was like robbery or something like that. But I don't know the details, so I don't want to talk like I do.
Yeah, currently the tomato meter has at 67%. The audience score is 86%.
Okay, so that dropped a little bit.
Yeah.
Someone commented the same thing I said. Yeah.
The Ezra Miller thing's definitely tough. I mean, the fact Spider-Man's still making money. Like, Spider-Man is still making money.
Spider-Verse is still in theaters, and that's the movie that people are.
Elementals is the other movie I saw.
I was just gonna say, when did you see that? At what point?
About 3 hours before I saw Flash.
Okay. I didn't know you had done that. But
better movie for sure. Definitely better movie, but it also it's not making the money it needs to. So I wonder if it's You know, you got
Yeah,
three movies
Mario,
that
Mario and the MCU. I mean, and I guess Sonic the Hedgehog getting put in that camp too. That are just kind of like, you got a handful of movies that are going to make the money, and the rest are going to have to try and fight for your attention. That's the world we're in right now, unfortunately. I mean, due to COVID, people stop going, and it's like a lot of people don't feel the need to return to the theaters. I am a large proponent of the theater experience because it's one of my favorite things to do, period. So if that wasn't an option anymore, I would be a very disappointed fan. And I don't think they're going to go away entirely, but it's definitely significantly decreased, and it's a major bummer.
it's the whole movie experience right now is in a weird place because it feels like you need to have like an already established large
Yep.
fan base, and I like not even just a fan base, right? Flash is popular, but like the DCEU was like sort of known for not being good. So like
Yep.
you can throw Flash in there, but it's like already got like a little bit of bad PR to it, so it's not gonna do well. Elementals was a great movie, but Pixar sort of on the down. So
DC's going to run into the same thing even when they try and release movies in like 3 years when it's James Gunn's franchise. It's going to leave a bad taste in people's mouths for a while. That's why there was such a gap. It was 95 when Batman and Robin was released, in 2005 when we got Batman Begins. So there was a 10-year gap where no one really wanted to try and touch a theatrical Batman because people had a bad taste. It was too campy. It was too focused on getting kids in the theater and buying their toys and yada, yada, yada. So it ebbs and flows. That's just kind of how theater things work. But we definitely saw a very, very large decrease in it. The waters have not risen back up, and I don't know if they're ever going to get back to the same point.
The same place, who knows? I mean, we were at all-time highs with the end of the MCU. Well, not the end of it, but the end of that phase. Yeah. I mean, those are kind of things that are hard to ever get back to. But I think the James Gunn thing, just for the record, I think all it takes is one good movie.
Oh, I'm
one good movie, word of mouth
for it.
starts, second, and then all of a sudden people start going. Like, I think because we live in such a fast internet age, like all it takes is like, yeah, dude, I don't know. James Gunn makes good DC movies. And then all of a sudden the second movie comes out and people love it. Like, I don't think there's any chance Blue Beetle makes a lot of money just because
that looks so fun. I loved that trailer. I'm really excited to see it. Actually, George Lopez playing the crazy uncle with a stupid rat tail and beard. Like, yes, I'd be up, dude. Let's go.
The kid from Cobra Kai, dude, he's awesome.
Oh my God, he's so good. Yeah, no, like my wife isn't always like a huge theater guy, but she went and saw Flash with me, and she definitely wants to see Blue Beetle because we watch Cobra Kai. So that, I think that's a smart move. And it's weird that officially James Gunn has said in interviews, I think he said it on Inside of You, the Michael Rosenbaum podcast, that this Blue Beetle is the first official one within his universe, which is interesting because it's being released before Aquaman 2, which is the last film of the.
They just need to not release Aquaman 2. I know they've already filmed them, so a
lot of money.
It's not going to make any money, man. Well,
they can't. They already lost the money though. That's the thing. It's like they got to try and recover what they can. It's not like they can pull a back roll and just bury it again. They're not a.
But they're going to put money into. They're going to put money into marketing, and yet it's. I don't know.
Well, maybe that
just selling
don't market it that well. Just be like, well, people are going to see it if they see it, because they went hard for this Flash movie, like hard. I was talking to David about this at the top of the episode. They spent a lot of money trying to get people to come to this movie, and
which is surprising that it's not. It didn't hit. Maybe
but
it's because we already knew they were moving on. Like
Tim in the comments just mentioned that it's just like people already know the DCEU is ending and being rebooted, so this kind of feels irrelevant. But but at the same time, that's we're in a world now where the connected universe is like the hill people are going to die on. But we have to acknowledge that, like, they used to you could watch a movie. Like, there's a movie that's connected to nothing.
That's what I'm saying. It just doesn't happen now, right? It doesn't matter how good you are.
Money.
Right? Like I was saying about Elementals. Elementals is a great movie. We used to just go and watch Pixar movies because we knew they were good movies.
Everybody did. Yep, you're 100%.
And now we just like, you don't. You have to be like, maybe Elementals 2 because I heard Elementals good was 1. You know what I mean?
Yes,
like,
you're right.
We just don't. We don't live in that world anymore. I might as well just wait.
Everything's streaming.
And it's an expensive experience to go to the movies these days too. I mean, it ain't cheap.
Yeah, I mean, ticket prices are up a little bit, but it's just, concessions because theaters have to keep making money, and you can't dog on them for that because, like, less people are going to the movies and they have to stay open, so they got to increase the prices of everything, and it's just
Yeah,
it's
it's become
snowballs,
definitely more
unfortunately.
luxury. I remember hearing a podcast like 3 years ago, and he was pretty much on of what's happened so far and going to continue. At some point, going to the movies is going to be similar like going to a play, right? Like you go watch a play right now, hundreds of dollars, $500. You know what I mean? Movies are never going to get there, I don't think. But like chairs are now big, comfy recliners. It's like it's this big luxury experience. So it's definitely different.
Yep. Spielberg and
like
Lucas talked about this like 20 years ago. They asked them about
they
the
did.
future movies, and they basically said it's going to be like a deluxe experience. So you're going to pay $50 for a ticket, but you're going to get like the best sound, the best seat. It's going to be almost like a 4D experience. And I mean, it looks like we're kind of heading there in a way.
Can it happen though? Because it's like I will be one of the ones that pays all the stupid money. Like I'll pay a good chunk of money to go see my superheroes in the theaters. I don't care. But it's just like I'm kind of maybe like a outside perspective. Like I'm, you know, we've already talked about how we're very specifically in a group of people. Like if they lose 15 people to my one, like they're still losing money, even though I'm paying more money. So I don't know what the right answer is.
It depends on how much money they make on the streaming stuff, right?
Yep.
Like how much value does it bring to HBO to have these DC movies? I just don't know the answer to these things. But all right, well I'm gonna jump off because
that's all right.
I think my daughter's gonna get back in this room here soon. So
she get to meet her brother.
My daughter got to jump in virtually. Not my daughter, so my son. My daughter's not coming until tomorrow.
Okay, there you go.
She's coming tomorrow to meet Cooper. Cooper's still warming up, but he should be back here soon. So this was fun. Hope you guys finish this podcast great, and I'll look forward to listening to it from the start to hear all Josh's terrible opinions.
Oh yeah, I dogged on you just to start, just so you're well aware of that.
Well, I deserved every second of that.
All right, sounds good. See you, Coach. Enjoy the baby. I mean, we wrapped up most of what we're going to talk about. We're at this point, it's kind of venturing away from being a full Flash review, but I guess we can kind of. Do you feel like we missed anything super important? I mean, another big laugh that I have was the phasing with the beers. Like these are the beers that I keep in the fridge, and then it was
then he exploded.
And then the stupid packed closets kept opening. I'm like, okay, this is great.
Yeah. I mean, the laughs per second. I mean, laughs per minute was just right on target. That's another factor why I really rated this movie pretty high, because I just loved every aspect of it.
Is it Michael Shannon, right? The guy that plays Zod? Yeah.
Yes.
Are you a little disappointed that he's kind of bummed that he even came back? I mean, it is the first time that he, I guess, came back as Zod since.
I don't think he's bummed that he came back.
Well, he said that it felt empty, is I believe his exact quote or something like that.
Yeah, because I think it relates back to Zack Snyder leaving DC and not
That's a big part of it too.
Because he was a real big fan, friend, and personal actor for Zack Snyder.
He did get approval, I believe.
Yeah, he asked Zack Snyder, like, hey, are you okay with me doing this? And he said, yeah, fine. It's all good. And Zack Snyder famously wrote,
I love that guy.
Directed a film that James Gunn wrote, Dawn of the Dead.
Yep. I love both those guys. I mean, they're both very, very smart, and they're very, comic book nerd. I got nothing but respect for the both of them. I hope that DC treats James Gunn better than they did Zack Snyder, because he kind of got, dunked on a little bit. He had personal family struggles, which was a big part of it, but then they rushed his movie and they butchered it, and then they stopped hiring him. They're like, wouldn't release the Snyder Cut for years, and it was just kind of like a whole messy situation. DC has gone through a lot. They've been dragged through the mud recently. I mean, the first Suicide Squad movie was 2016. People just hated that. They hated Jared Leto.
Apparently the studio meddled with it. There's an Ayer cut now that people want released.
Yeah, I mean, there is, because there's much cooler Joker scenes in the trailer than what was actually in the film. And I think at one point he was supposed to be the actual villain, and then the weird Enchantress flip was weird. We're going off topic once again, but obviously we don't talk about DC that much on this podcast because
it's all Marvel stuff
podcast. But we've told you guys, if there's something that feels big enough, we're gonna switch to other stuff, and we did Avatar previously, and
nice.
We'll just keep doing stuff like this. So, David, any closing thoughts on The Flash? Anything you wish we talked about? Post-credit scene, you haven't seen it, but you know what happens?
No, I've seen both.
Okay, you have seen it. Okay.
Spoilers. So yeah, we get the Clooney reveal that he's Batman.
That was the end of the tag of the movie.
Barry Allen's new returned universe. And then you get the whole Momoa being drunk. In a puddle.
So
and then of course
good.
he can breathe in the water and he's face
Yep.
down. And
He's like, take the Atlantean steel, buy beer with it.
so yeah, I mean, it feels like they could use this as a reset, and Ezra Miller won't have to come back. And like you said, they're going to recast probably a younger Flash, a younger Wonder Woman.
I mean, everyone's
a
going to be
younger Batman. Yeah,
that's what we're looking at.
all the majors. So who do you think? So it seems like there's two front runners for Superman. It's Corn Sweat and what's his name?
Is Jacob not one of the top guys anymore? The guy from Euphoria? He was at one point.
The last I've seen, I think is it David Corn Sweat?
I don't know. Jacob Elordi was the one that I was like, ooh, I could see that, because he plays like a pretty nasty villain in the Euphoria show, and he's super young, so he'd have been a cool one. But
it's Nicholas Hoult.
Oh, Nicholas Hoult.
Yeah,
I heard he was he was gonna be Lex Luthor. I heard Lex Luthor.
He looks like he could play a great Lex Luthor, but I actually spoke with someone at Dallas Fan Expo who is very well connected, very famous in the art world, and he told me that he ran into Nicholas Hoult in Dubai, of all places. He was the only other American in a bar, and they started talking, and he said he was so enchanted by him that he had the charisma. He felt like he could play Clark Kent and Kal-El, and he was just like, that's my guy. I don't care if Corn Sweat looks like every other iteration of what you
Nicholas
think
Hoult is
mind.
Wonderful. I've heard nothing but wonderful things about that guy.
Yeah,
he was
played
great
Beast in Marvel
he was
film.
great as Beast. I heard Renfield is really great too, which I'm gonna have to watch that because I have Peacock. So I think it was Tim commented, didn't they spend an extra $75 million to do Snyder Cut? I don't know the exact figure, but yeah, they did.
I think it was $100 million actually.
Yeah, they spent a lot of money to do it, and I'm glad they did eventually pay up, because everyone was like, the Twitter universe went crazy and got it.
Yeah, is that Tim Seitz?
I think so.
Okay,
I watched. I love Bruce Willis. Yeah, I don't.
He's awesome.
It says Facebook user, but then I checked Facebook at one point. I was like,
yeah, Tim is awesome.
Yep. That kind of finishes things up. David, thank you for joining. That was fun. I
also want to bring up Andy Muschietti was tapped.
We're directing Brave and the Bold. Yep.
Right.
Yep. I mean, I can do a whole nother podcast on what I'm looking forward to for the future of the DC universe. I mean, Noah did a little bit of one for the DC Gods and Monsters reveal over on Gotham City Rogues, but yeah, it's gonna be cool. I'm excited to see it. We get to see Damian Wayne. I hope please give me my Dick Grayson Nightwing, because that is my favorite comic book character of all time, and he hasn't been in a movie yet. They did a little bit of Batman and Robin where he wore the Nightwing outfit with a cape and called them Robin, and then the Titans TV show, which I was a big fan of. He was, some people didn't care for it, but just give me my Nightwing, please, for the love of God. So yeah, that's what I'm hoping for the Brave and the Bold. We'll see what happens, but that was good times. Thank you once again, David. Congratulations to Coach, and I guess we're gonna finish her up now. And I believe we got a Secret Invasion coming this week, so that's gonna be what we talk about later. I might get Noah King Bates. Maybe I'll bother David. I don't know. We'll see what happens. Maybe Coach did just join via hospital, so maybe he'll be back this week.
Via satellite, via hospital.
All right. Once again, thank you, and you guys have a good night.
All right.